Jews and non-Jews. The Jewish voice of Labour has to identify itself as Jewish. We've got a voice that's got to be heard. But I don't want to say this, but I'm now going to say I particularly welcome non-Jews, and I want non-Jews to be able to say what I say without being called anti-Semite.
I came simply to show solidarity with this new group, which I think is fundamentally important, and that your voices are essential. I saw a recording of Naomi's speech to conference, and it said everything that I would want to say.
The election came along, and the project to undermine Corbyn was proved to have failed. The British people much to the consternation of Jeremy Corbyn's critics, of course. It was quite hilarious watching them stumbling over their words and trying to find kind things to say about the person they've been rubbishing. We've seen a bit of it today at conference, haven't we? Those of us seen that. Quite amusing. Yeah, again, I'm not going to name any names. Okay, but we had a strange suspicion that despite this huge upsurge of support for Corbyn and for the Corbyn project and for the Momentum and the other left activists throughout the country, we didn't think that the anti-Semitic smear campaign was going to stop, and we were right. Every time somebody said something like this about the weaponisation, they're accused of suggesting that anti-Semitism does not exist. Right? If you suggest that the allegations may be false, you're accused of suggesting that there is no such thing as anti-Semitism. We're not saying that. We want to be quite clear that there are prejudices that have existed in this society for centuries, going back to medieval times and appalling. I won't go into the history, but you've heard about blood libel and other. There are people who believe in the protocols of the Elders of Zion. They believe that Jews control everything. So, I mean, we have to be alert to that and help people to distinguish between what is completely legitimate political discourse and what does have the stench of bigotry in it. And we will acknowledge that
I became politically active in the mid-1970s, aged 16. I was in a kibbutz-oriented Zionist youth group that encouraged us to see our future in Israel. But I also started attending anti-fascist demonstrations at that same time. The National Front, led by Nazi anti-Semites, was growing and marching through immigrant areas. In 1978, a huge anti-fascist initiative was launched, the Anti-Nazi League. The impetus came from the left. Its supporters encompassed trade union leaders, Labour MPs, footballers, musicians, actors, academics, and grassroots activists. And there were several Jewish names among them. Alongside it was the brilliant Rock Against Racism campaign, which attracted youth of all communities, including Jewish youth. In April 1978, I was one of the 80,000 people that marched from Trafalgar Square to Victoria Park in the East End in the first Rock Against Racism Carnival. I was already active in the Jewish Socialist group by then. As we left Trafalgar Square, there were members of left-wing Zionist groups, Habonim and Mapam, who marched near us. But we were flouting the wishes of the Board of Deputies and the Jewish Chronicle, who used all their energies to persuade Jews not to join with other minorities and the labour movement against the fascists because they might mix with people they disagree with over Israel. And I remember the founder of the Jewish Socialist Group, Aubrey Lewis, a veteran anti-fascist from Manchester, telling us then, this has actually got nothing to do with Israel or Zionism. The Jewish establishment just want to keep young Jews away from the left. And I can't help thinking that alongside the desire to shield Netanyahu's government from criticism, some very similar plain anti-left motives have been at play in the last couple of years when Jewish community spokespeople have jumped on the anti-Corbyn bandwagon. And I want to finish with the words of two outstanding Polish Jewish socialists who were in rival political groups in the 30s. One was in the Polish Communist Party, in fact in its left opposition. The other was in the Bund youth organisation, Zukunft. But there is a symmetry to their philosophy that applies to this day. The first is Isaac Deutscher, who died in London in 1967. When he asked himself what makes a Jew, he said, religion, I'm an atheist. Jewish nationalism, I'm an internationalist. In neither sense am I a Jew. I am, however, a Jew by my unconditional solidarity with the persecuted and exterminated. The second is the Bundist, Marek Edelman, last surviving commander of the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising, who I met briefly in Warsaw in 1997. He died in Poland in 2009. This hero was persona non grata in Israel for remaining an anti-Zionist and saying about the uprising, we fought for dignity and freedom, not for a territory, not for a national identity. But the very most important thing he said was, to be a Jew means always being with the oppressed, never with the oppressors, never with the oppressors. Thank you.
I've enjoyed the last 40 minutes. Unfortunately, I've got to go to another meeting. And I just want to commend JVL, and I want to commend everybody here for keeping the fantastic, radical spirit and history of the Jewish people alive. And can I tell you on behalf of Unite, we'll be looking to affiliate to JFL.
Thank you. It's Tosh McDonald, I'm the president of ASLEF, the train drivers union. I recently discovered the Jewish Chronicle when people told me I was being attacked in it. I weren't aware of it until then, I'm afraid. And I did actually make a remark at the memorial to the International Brigades in Jubilee Gardens, where I said that today's Spain, for the youth of today, is probably Palestine, and things went out of control from there, to be quite honest. I know Glenn has known me for some time, and I usually do mention Palestine when I speak. I also say there is no place for anti-Semitism or any bigotry. And like Glenn, I bring the greetings from ASLEF, the train drivers union. We're proud of our record of standing against any kind of bigotry and racism. We'll continue to do that, and I will be taken to the executive committee of ASLEF if you accept affiliations, as Len said, from Unite. I'll be taking it. I believe we will get support from the executive committee on that, and we'll be proud to do so. Thank you. Thank you for doing that.